The origins of The Last of Us Part 2 could give us a sneak preview at what we could expect from The Last of Us Part 2, if not the next new Naughty Dog game. Now, even though we are a long way away from The Last of Us Part 3 being released, as right now the game is still looking like it's in the concept stages, as Neil Druckman is working on The Last of Us TV show, as well as the next brand new Naughty Dog game, which is said to be a brand new IP. We also talked about in my last video how The Last of Us Part 3 is likely going to be a PlayStation 6 title, and probably even in the year as late as 2030. Now, this article is from the Video Games Chronicled, and it's been taken from the Grounded 2 documentary of The Last of Us Part 2, where the developers discuss the origins of The Last of Us Part 2 and how they initially was going to make the game an open world game inspired by the Bloodborne series. Now, the reason why they wanted to go in this direction at the beginning is because they wanted to make the game as different as humanly possible from the first game, as the first game did have you explore linearly different maps for different chapters of the game. In the first 4 or 5 months, the game was actually kind of an open world inspired by Bloodborne. It was pure melee focused, all hand-to-hand combat, said co-game director Anthony Newman. Then Amelia Schatz, lead game designer, explained it wasn't just the melee combat, we were also looking at layout structure. Bloodborne has a very open space that kept getting bigger and bigger as you explored. I really like that feeling that you get mastery over the world. It starts to become almost a character of the game itself, and so that was something we were looking at. And you can see a lot of those open world elements being explored within The Last of Us Part 2 with its massive open areas, and we also saw a similar thing within Uncharted 4. And I personally also like the idea of the world getting bigger and bigger as you explore it, but I wonder how that would have worked with The Last of Us Part 2's story. As development went on, Schatz said that the team discovered that the open world structure didn't fit with the story of the game, and they dialed it back. We started out making it as different as humanly possible from the first game as we could, and then kind of dialing it back. The open world thing didn't work with the story we were trying to tell. And I feel that makes sense with The Last of Us Part 2 story, as I can't really see it being an open world game. But what does that mean for the next Naughty Dog game? As I do think that they want to make an open world game, and they probably still want to explore that idea of making an open world that gradually gets bigger the more you explore it. I also love the idea of that Naughty Dog gameplay and the survival gameplay within an open world environment. And of course, looking to the next Naughty Dog game, we don't know what it's going to be, whether it be a medieval game or a sci-fi game, but perhaps with a new IP they will stick with the formula that they already use with Uncharted and The Last of Us, as it is much more dangerous to take a risk like that and making it a brand new format that you've never really done before with a new IP than trying it with an already established franchise. And of course, depending on how the story is for The Last of Us Part 3, they could in fact finally make the third game open world, or perhaps have those much larger open areas similar to the Baldur's Gate 3 game, where you have 3 different acts, and in each one of those acts you have a large open area that acts as its own open world. I feel like that would be the next evolution of the Last of Us franchise, as I personally can't see it be a game like Days Gone, where that would be the closest example of having an open world Last of Us game. I can't really see Last of Us go that direction, but I can definitely see them going the direction of having 3 different acts, 3 different stages of the game with a large open area that coincides with that specific chapter of the game. And I don't mean the same large open areas as we saw in The Last of Us Part 2, but rather much larger, with tons of side content to do and missable opportunities, which will only enhance the overall narrative of the game. But if they do go into the direction of a true open world title similar to a game like Days Gone, then I would also be extremely excited for that too, as I can see us getting bounties and missions from the Jackson settlement and being tasked to find food, to kill hordes, to kill clickers in a nearby outpost, to kill marauders nearby, and giving that sense of living in this world and contributing to the Jackson settlement. And of course, depending on the structure of the game, going back to the Jackson settlement and finishing off side quests, or maybe you want to break from the main story arc and you kind of just want to mess around in the open world and do some bounties, find survivors. And I think with how The Last of Us Part 2 leaves the end of the game, we could also have dual protagonists, with perhaps being able to play as Ellie and Abby once again, where Abby is in California California and you can do her missions with the Fireflies, or you could change to Ellie, where Ellie is in Jackson and doing her missions on that side of the map. And of course there will be sections where Ellie would go over to California, or however the story plays out, and they're both paths cross. Or they could actually make Ellie and Tommy be playable in this game, which I would absolutely love, where Tommy could play much more how Joe plays and feels in the game. And we know that Tommy is also a sniper, so that could be his gun of choice and one of his specialties when playing as him. But it's great to know that The Last of Us Part 2 was considered to be an open world, and it was just because of the story that they couldn't actually make sense of making it an open world. But perhaps that would be one of their forefront ideas for making The Last of Us Part 3 and really making it different from the last two games, and allowing that series to really go through a very unique evolution of it finally becoming an open world game and being this huge experience for what would be considered the last mainline Last of Us game. Now again, there is a long way away for The Last of Us Part 3. It's currently in conceptual stages. Neil Druckman does say that he has a concept of the story already done, but it seems Naughty Dog is working on the next new IP, which is likely going to be a medieval fantasy or a sci-fi game, and that would likely land on the PlayStation 5, whereas The Last of Us Part 3 will likely land on the PlayStation 6. The Last of Us Part 3 will likely also be Neil Druckman's last game on that big budget scale, as he did say that he doesn't really have many more big games left in him, he doesn't think, but we'll see when the time comes. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this Last of Us update video. We've got a lot more Last of Us update videos, which I'll link in the description and pinned comment section below. I hope to see you on my next videos. We'll talk a lot more about The Last of Us and its future. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless. Go ahead and browse my channel to see what other upcoming games you are interested in, as we go over a ton of them, from Marvel Spider-Man 2, an upcoming X-Men game, the Venom game, the Wolverine game, Star Wars upcoming game, and so much more. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and I'll see you on my next videos. Take care, guys.
For my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces, hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.